Hello and welcome to MGoRadio 3 point something.
Yeah, something.
That's a problem with our naming system. It's very it's hard to remember sometimes.
It really is.
After the bye week, it's always difficult.
Yeah, it's throwing everything off.
4. Seth says 4.
There it is. 3.4.
He held up all 4 of his fingers. Very visual podcast. Got it in already.
Also a very punctual podcast today.
Hey, come on.
Sorry.
What time is it?
It's 5:10.
5:10? It's Michigan time.
Fair. I can't argue with that. Damn it. You got me.
Boom. Anyway,
so what have we prepared for this segment, Brian?
how's the ham bending going?
It's bending.
Yeah, the ham's bending. All right, Purdue, let's talk about that, even though it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it really was.
So I go back and I look at it, and I'm getting a little despondent about one thing in particular. Ace, can you guess what that is?
I assume it is the blocking up front, and specifically the run blocking.
Yes, and also the pass block.
Yeah, dang it. I was worried it was going to be both.
But it's you look at it and you're like, ugh, what's going on here? And then you look at it in detail, and you're like, ugh, what's going on here?
Yeah, that's disconcerting. Because in early Harbaugh, you could kind of get the why it was so
Yeah.
But at this point, it's become a little bit worrisome that they're still messing up assignments on inside zone, which is a lot more simple than the Harbaugh frippery.
I'd like to thank you for continuing to talk throughout that.
Yeah, well, I had to, at the one last week, we had a woman walk up and start trying to talk to Seth while we were recording. So I'm getting good at just staring straight ahead and continuing my stream of thought.
What part of someone on a headset clearly broadcasting something convinced this woman that she needed to talk to them?
I don't know, but it went on for a solid 2 minutes.
What was she talking about, Seth?
She was really trying to figure out what we were doing.
She didn't know
while we were doing it.
I think she thought we were giving away free hummus.
Oh. Well, it is delicious hummus.
It is delicious Lantana hummus. This is a very professional podcast.
And we were talking about Purdue.
Yes, we were. That is where we were at initially.
And the blocking on the offensive line. So the thing that kind of freaks me out is that you see Michigan pointing at each other and talking about line calls with each other, they don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
There's that one really bad tackle for loss where 6 different guys went in the backfield, and the guy who Cole thought Bredesen was blocking got there first.
Yes.
And then afterwards, you kind of see them being like, "Hey, what's going on?"
And the play that Spake gets knocked out on is an obvious missed assignment.
Yeah.
There was both run and pass issues there.
Which the commenters, a couple of them have experience in these matters, and one of them said it was definitely Ty Isaac.
Yeah.
Not Mason Cole, which makes more sense.
It does make a lot more sense that the running back would blow a blitz pickup than the senior left tackle.
Right, and even though he's bounced around a lot, Mason Cole is a guy who I was I really hate trying to give him a minus because I'm this is probably someone else's problem.
And the other spot he bounced to was center, which is the spot where you're supposed to know everything. So I feel in general, if there's a mess up involved on his side, I assume it's somebody else.
Well, so I'm trying to figure out what exactly is Michigan's problem, and I think the problem is they get their inside zone slanted against a lot, and they're not really doing anything about it.
Yeah.
And
that's a problem we saw before, but it was when they were running it as more of a change-up.
Right, and when and it's not year 3, and these guys are Hoke cast-offs and all that stuff, so there's kind of a built-in excuse for a couple years. This is year 3, and I know that they're not working under ideal circumstances, but I'm still disappointed in where they are at this juncture.
Yeah.
Because, in the first game, Elizio comes in for a big minus, and I'm this could be just not his fault. They're not coaching him up well enough, and then they'll figure out what to do when the opposition tries to do the same thing going forward. And it's just the same stuff.
Yeah.
Where you get a pre-snap read, and you don't have a guy over you, so you're all right, I can go release to the second level. And then the opposition slants, and at that point, if you go to the second level, the gap that you're leaving is going to be filled with dude.
Yes.
And then
a dude with an angle to make a play.
Right, and then the running back cuts back, and then maybe there's another dude, and the running back cuts back, and then maybe there's an overhang guy.
Yeah.
That's what the goal of the slant is, and if you know you're going to get it, you can do stuff about it by stopping and helping your guy, chipping, and then going. And Michigan hasn't done that at all. at all.
Which,
Like, not once.
I don't even know what to add to that because, like, yeah, like they should do that.
I mean,
they should really adjust, and like, there's no reason not to. It's not like they're saving an adjustment on how to run like their most basic run play.
Right, and I feel like if they do run it against Michigan State, then Michigan State is just going to do the exact same thing.
Especially since they're just freaking super aggressive too, so they're
'cause
probably going to be throwing guys into gaps no matter what.
Yeah, they did it against Iowa. Like, you're trying to get that double on the line of scrimmage.
We'll get to this later, but watching that Michigan State game made me so mad on behalf of Iowa fans for their general approach to football.
Well, also, like, Kirk Ferentz is like, okay, now I'm playing Michigan, I'm going to coach like I'm not 78 years old.
Yep.
Wait, sorry. That's a bad number. Because you know who's 78 years old? Bill Snyder.
Yes.
So that is totally unfair to 78
I mean, he's
year olds.
actually like a 4,000-year-old wizard,
right,
but he claims to be 70.
He claims to be 70.
So we have to.
So we're going to put some respect on that number. He coaches like an 81-year-old.
Yes.
Apologies to any 81-year-olds listening to this podcast. But congratulations. What?
That sounded mildly condescending, I'll be
No!
honest.
They made it to like 81.
Yeah, that was the part I thought sounded mildly condescending.
That's not condescending. that's.
Congrats for being alive.
I'll congratulate you on being alive.
Thank you. You know.
Do you feel condescended to?
A little bit.
This is what happens when I try to be nice. It doesn't work.
Those rare occasions.
Well, it's rare because I'm not very good at it. So I'm just like, no, let's just stick with what I know.
Yeah.
And that's not.
So we can keep trashing Michigan's offense, I guess, right now?
Well, I mean, when I looked at the film again, John O'Korn was just as good as he felt live. Like,
yeah, no, that was an impressive performance.
He had a couple of errors, and even those were kind of understandable, like where he thought he had press coverage against Crawford, and they bail out into cover 3 late, and he doesn't really have time because he's got a rusher at him. Okay.
Yeah.
That was not a throw you should have made, but it was a very accurate throw that you shouldn't have made. And the interception is something that hits the ground 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, that was pretty unlucky.
I mean, in terms of backups coming off the bench and playing quarterback, that is unprecedented, I think, in Michigan, at least recent history.
Certainly none that I can remember have lived up to that. And then especially when you look at, I mean, we're talking about the offensive line problems. I'm looking at the Henny chart, and he's down for 5+ passes under pressure.
Yeah.
And
no stars.
Yeah.
Which are the bad things.
Yeah, and given the offensive line situation, you kind of need somebody who's going to be able to hit those throws under pressure. Spade's had issues with it so far this year, and O'Korn was routinely either able to break the pocket and then reset and throw downfield, or hit passes with guys in his face.
Yeah, so run game very concerning, even though they do hit kind of the big power at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish that they were a gap blocking team more than this zone stuff that they're trying, because they just suck at it.
Yeah, it does just feel like they kind of hit the reset button on the whole like rebuilding aspect of the run game, and then like I get that, you know, Greg Fry's an inside zone guy. He was really good at it in Indiana. I mean, it's weird that it hasn't taken hold better, because we watched Indiana run the ball these last few years, and they were really good at it.
They can do it.
But whatever's happening with the way they run inside zone, I don't know whether that's a Harbaugh thing from on high, but it's weird that they've been doing it that way, and it does make you kind of pine for them to just go with power and traps and whams and the stuff that they were doing the last couple of years.
Yeah, they really haven't done any of their frippery stuff, like none of the double.
I haven't seen a DT just get smacked by a guard coming from the other side.
Right,
it's completely unexpected, and those are really fun.
They haven't trapped. They haven't. I mean, they run a little bit of power, but the run game feels a lot different than it was the last couple of years, and it doesn't feel great.
No, it does not.
So, yeah, I'm not so happy about that.
No.
And I'm not like gonna get on the soapbox and be like, we need to fire Tim Trevino, but I am kind of like, come on, man, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm getting like his track record is impressive, but you know, he's also followed around Harbaugh. Although, you know, he still has, so you'd think that would still work.
Right. It's not like Harbaugh tolerates fools very much. Like,
so it's just hard to figure out what's going on there, because that was kind of the one thing you think would come along and be at a pretty solid level by now.
Yeah.
At least conceptually.
Well, I mean, losing Newsome was a blow they couldn't.
That was a problem.
And you know, there's the last couple of recruiting cycles. It's like, okay, we've got all these tackles that we're in on, and they don't really They haven't closed on enough of them.
No.
Especially with the Devery Hamilton flip.
Yeah, Hamilton leaving.
And they had to know that they were going to cut Swenson. So they replaced those two guys who are tackles with nobody in that class. And that's why Nolan Elizio, who is kind of a flyer from Kentucky, who they got on a decommit, in the panic, we've got a month left to add 8 guys.
Yeah, we're going to throw together this 2015 class real quick.
That's why he's starting, and he's not doing well. And I'm not sure that you could really expect that to go particularly well, given his mono last year.
Yeah.
So it does come back to recruiting, where they just don't have enough options that they got in Harbaugh's first full recruiting class. Because Devery Hamilton is starting at Stanford.
Yeah, he is. It's not fun to watch.
No, it is not.
See it come up. Yeah.
So that's and that does trace back to Drevno as well, because he's the guy who closes on all those OL. And they've done a pretty good job so far, but they had a rough start, and it's kind of biting them.
Yeah.
In the tuckus.
Yeah, a little bit.
In the patoot.
In the rear.
Okay, if you want to be.
Yeah.
You want to be generic about it.
Yeah, it was.
They stop being nice. Back to the salt mines.
There we go.
And then
expect to be compared to Brady Hoke anytime now.
It's coming. You can feel it.
Yep.
And then Nate Shanley had a couple catches, and he ran his routes with precision.
You enjoyed that.
He missed a rub.
He did,
which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
And then you saw the tight ends really get into it. I was excited about both guys, but McCune kind of surprised me, because I kind of felt like, we've seen a little bit from Gentry. We knew he had that kind of speed and size combination. McCune, you hear about it.
Well, and you go back to his recruiting profile and his spark numbers, and for a tight end, he was elite athletically.
Yeah.
So you just start to see that, and I mean, you go back to even the spring game, and the quarterbacks were kind of using him as their Binky a little bit, where when they just needed to get the ball out, crossing routes to McCune, short stuff to him, where that was one of the things that they were going to. So it's not a shock necessarily that he's come on and become more of a go-to guy.
Well, I think he's the only guy so far that's gotten a significant number of targets who doesn't have a drop.
Yeah.
So everybody else has kind of had at least 1 or 2 moments where it's you should have got that one.
Yeah.
But McCune has been completely reliable. And then, he's more of a catch-and-run guy than you might expect.
Yes.
I mean, he has that one kind of crossing route against the linebacker, and the linebacker's dusted.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what they've been doing with him is just dialing up mesh and knowing that he can turn the corner on a guy.
Well, they were running those flat routes with slants behind him, and he turns a couple of those up for a first down. Gentry had a nice catch and run on a mesh as well.
Yeah, had a touchdown off of that.
Yeah, that's true. So these guys are decent blockers. They're butt level.
Yeah,
I think we can say that. If someone didn't know
a lot of butt talk in this segment.
If someone didn't know that Michigan had a tight end named Butt, they'd be listening to the story what is butt level? That doesn't sound good at all.
What is it with their fixation on this one body part? No, I mean it's good, especially with Gentry, that's a bit of a surprise that he's at that level as a blocker this quickly, just because he was a quarterback turned quasi wide out, and now is lining up.
Right, and he's 6'7" and skinny-ish.
Yeah, the leverage thing does not seem to be working in his favor, but he's managed to make it work mostly on the edge, and if he can hold up as a blocker, I mean McCune's more inline sized, and then you've got 2 guys who can really run the field and make things happen. And right now, especially given the uncertainty on the outside, they need that.
Yeah, and we saw a little bit from Wheatley where he's he's in on that touchdown towards the end of the game, and he takes a guy with him because he thinks it's mesh. But then he also lit that other linebacker up.
Yes.
He gave it to him.
Yeah.
Both barrels.
Yeah.
And we saw a couple of fullback blocks in that vein as well.
Khalid Hill had a particularly savage one
on a cornerback, which was just
on a kid who'd just checked into the game too, just welcome, you're on your ass. But yeah, that was nice.
And Poggi also had a +2 on that run, and it was it's good to see Michigan kind of getting some peripheral blocking that's going well, but that's not really going to perk up the run game.
Yeah, it's still not opening up the first level if the offensive line isn't doing their job. So
nope.
Gotta hope for that to come together a little bit.
Nope. All right, we are going to take a break. Come back, talk about the other side of the ball and what will be a much more uplifting but also boring segment.
Let me just tell you a couple things to keep in your mind while you're out there. When we take the field, we're going to win. We've got big goals. We've got big ideas. We've got to win this game, and there is no game on the remainder of our schedule more important than the one you're going down to the tunnel to play today. Now let's go. Let's go.
Underground Printing is proud to present The Bow Store. Visit us at our new location at 333 South Main or online at www.bow.team.
So we didn't have to keep digging through our old paperwork. He's incredibly ethical. He knows the system. He knows where they take advantage. And he keeps a small shop, and he does all the work himself, so he keeps all the costs down. Anyway, that's why I highly recommend Matt. He's licensed in Michigan, Ohio, and Florida. You can give him a call at 734-531-9950. Visit his new office in Ann Arbor on State Street, or go to homesurelending.com/MGoBlog, and he'll take care of you. That's Home Sure Lending, NMLS number 1161358.
In southeastern Michigan, the yearly cost for a nursing home averages $90,000. It doesn't have to, though. Reed McCarthy founded Ann Arbor Elder Law after handling a tricky situation for his own family. Years of experience later, his boutique firm works with clients across southeast Michigan, dealing with Medicaid planning, long-term care, and tax, disability, and family law, not to mention family dynamics. If you have a family member who may need that level of care, or if you're ready to start your own estate plan, Reed can give you a plan for the future. Visit AnnArborElderLaw.com or call 734-945-9693. That's 734-945-9693.
I grew up in a small town of Hazlitt, Michigan, and I witnessed a lot of great people making a lot of poor financial decisions. And I thought to myself, I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to have my retirement at risk. Over the last 17 years, my team has developed and refined our process, which helps people understand what's important to them and what they value most. And because people don't have pensions anymore, we're adding in multiple income streams during retirement. At Peak Wealth Management, our goal is to build long-lasting relationships, and we do that by building trust, by showing our integrity, and letting them know how much we care. And that's one of the most important things we do here at Peak, is understand your goals and help you get there.
That was very atmospheric.
Yeah, it sure was.
I feel like I'm at a rave now. Is that what raves are like, Ace?
Why do you think I'm familiar with what raves are like?
I don't know. You're youngish.
I'm not the rave type, man.
Aren't you?
Nah.
Posting shirtless pictures of yourself on Twitter. I mean, you're a little.
There was no neon in that photo.
You're a little bit of the rave type.
I was in a pool.
I bet there are raves with pools. Like, that sounds like an awesome rave.
That actually sounds like a decent rave.
Terrified someone's going to invite me to a rave now. I'm going to be like, nope.
Hard pass.
Pass.
Your dads do not rave.
Dad rave. Oh, I mean, if I knew my kid was like a teenager and he was going to be there, then I'm in. Then I got so, like the glow
So your
sticks.
child never raves ever again.
Well, it's just like
that's. This is your deterrent. Is like, okay, you can rave, but Dad's coming with you.
I mean, like, so he bites me sometimes.
He'd probably bite you if you did that.
Well, what? I'm just saying that, like, by the time he's like rave age, there's gonna be like, I gotta get some, gotta get him back some, right? So.
Yeah, I guess so.
Showing up at his rave.
Yeah,
being like,
that would definitely be getting back.
Sweet tunes. He's done.
Yeah.
He's done. He'll just evaporate, which is not what I want.
No.
So maybe I'll killer tunes. That would be embarrassing, but not evaporation.
Yeah.
Much better than sweet tunes. Anyway, Michigan's defense dominant against the Boilermakers, except for.
We have a sponsor list.
Oh, right. We're talking about raves. Totally forgot about that. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Underground Printing, the Bow Store where we are at currently, the Residence Inn, Ann Arbor Downtown, Peak Wealth Management, Home Sure Lending, Human Element, Lantana Hummus, Michigan Law Grad, Deo Bookkeeping, and Ann Arbor Elder Law.
Boom. Still professional.
Boom. Reed, that's his name.
Yes.
Not the guy who I already told this.
At first, I thought you were commanding me to read something, and I was very confused.
No. So Michigan's defense, now that we've got the sponsors out of the way, was dominant except for the throwback drive, and I mean that'll happen.
Yeah, I mean Jeff Brom is a very good offensive mind. He's got a lot of misdirection in the playbook,
and they were
for
clearly,
one drive that worked out.
They were clearly throwing the kitchen sink at Michigan.
Yes, I mean that whole drive of just the throwbacks upon throwbacks.
They start off both halves with throwbacks to the quarterback.
You see, it is not easy to keep talking while you're getting distracted.
Very visual.
Seth is trying to take a picture of Brian while this is happening, and Brian is not having it.
Just take a picture. Look at that. That's wonderful. Just take a picture of that. What? We're not even going to put this up. I told you we're going to use the artsy photos. So, yeah,
artsy photos.
Anyway, he's taking pictures of me.
Yeah.
I'm wanted by the FBI. So, what were we talking about?
So there was the defense. There was the Purdue hitting all the misdirection and just breaking out the kitchen sink.
Yeah, and when
they tried to flea flicker, it did not go well.
Yeah, when they weren't doing that, they just weren't getting any yards.
Yeah.
So I mean, there were a couple of opportunities that they spurned, but that's going to happen, and it's just the whole defense is kind of Mo Hurst now.
Yes.
Where it's so excellent, it's difficult to talk about.
Yeah, it's.
I could talk.
I mean, it's not boring to watch, but it is boring to discuss sometimes because it's just Hurst is awesome, Winovich is awesome, Devin Bush is unbelievable, Rashawn Gary is so good that they're doubling him and letting the rest of those guys run free.
Yeah.
And the rest of the back seven's holding up real nice.
I mean, we did talk this week about Noah Furbush and how he's kind of the unsung hero of the defense because he
just has to kamikaze his way into the line to open up gaps for other guys.
Right. So he's basically a defensive lineman whose main job is to let Devin Bush stun around him.
Yeah, he's like the fullback of linebackers.
So he feints outside and then throws himself into the middle of two guys, and that's why Devin Bush, who's got to be the first guy every opponent wants to block, is able to just flit into the backfield by himself so frequently. And that's why Michigan can probably still maintain their 3-3-5 against Michigan State, despite the fact that they're probably going to load up and try to man-ball it.
Yeah.
Because they have a guy who's running at the line, and he's not 300 pounds, but his momentum is equivalent to a Brian Monet because he's coming.
Yeah. And as we'll get to, State's offensive line isn't overly powerful.
No.
So that also might help keep Michigan in what has so far been their base defense.
I mean, I quoted that section from your FFFF. I mean,
it was fun screen capping that one, let me tell you.
I mean, good Lord.
Yeah.
Good Lord. I mean, we saw Michigan fall prey to a bunch of screens again, but they also kind of gave it back a little bit. I mean, there was a tunnel screen where Bush was specifically tasked with, okay, they're going to run a tunnel screen.
Yeah.
He blows it up. We saw McCray get one from behind. We saw Bush break one up. So, they're going to get got by screens all year. That's just kind of the nature of what
Tom Brown. You blitz as much as Michigan does, that will happen.
Yeah, so what they're going to have to do is just make sure that it's not every time.
Yeah.
And they did a better job of that against Purdue than I think they have so far this year, especially late.
Yeah.
So that's going to be...
I mean, because they hit they hit an early tunnel screen that was are we in for this
Well, there
again?
were two back-to-back on the throwback drive, and there were different tunnel screens because it was to the slot receiver.
Yeah.
So that's a little tweak that I think Brom put in, and that was effective because Michigan is preparing to defend the kind of tunnel screens I saw against Cincinnati.
Yeah, where the outside guys coming in.
Right. Yeah. So that was a good tweak and a good RPS thing, and then Michigan kind of got it downloaded.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was probably the most encouraging thing from the defense from this game is Michigan going up against a non-option team with a coordinator or a head coach who's really good at adjustments and throwing strange things at you, and Don Brown had it downloaded and just dead in the water.
Yeah, their second half drive chart was just nothing.
Yeah, it was almost literally nothing. 8 3-and-outs, 3 first down and outs, a forced fumble on the first play of another drive. That's a pretty good outing.
And then secondary did get some tests that they hadn't gotten so far, especially Long and Hill. and they performed excellently. Long had 2 pass breakups, probably should have had a third, but he gets his hand on the ball pops up and goes right to the guy. It's like, all right. And then Lavert Hill had a couple of excellent instances of coverages where he didn't get credit for a PBU, but probably could have, should have.
Yeah, definitely should have on that slant.
Yeah, on that slant. And that's encouraging because Michigan State is going to dink and dunk.
Yes.
Because that's probably all they can even hope to do against Michigan.
Yeah, and while their receivers Purdue's receivers weren't great, neither are Michigan State's. So that and if you're worrying about competition level, that should be about the same.
Yeah, Michigan State's guys will be bigger, and you have to
Felton Davis is 6'4",
so that's pretty much the main difference.
Yes.
Also, they don't really have a slot so much right now.
No, they use Darryl Stewart like one, but he's
like 6'2".
Yeah, he's not a slot bug.
Right, and that's kind of something that does worry me because we've seen fast guys in the slot get open occasionally on the safeties. We've seen Tyree Cannell miss some tackles, and that seems to be like maybe the weak point of the defense, if there is one.
Yeah, possibly.
And I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that
we're running out of things that we can diagnose as possible weak points. So
right. I mean, Michigan even got some depth going in this game. They saw Dwumfor have a couple of productive snaps. You saw Solomon out there for maybe 10 snaps. He looks not great, but good for a freshman.
Yeah, Robluski forces the fumble and gets some time early also where he looks decent.
Yeah, and that seemed to be completely voluntary.
Yeah.
They were just like, we're going to put Robo out there for a series. And it was like a 3-and-out. So
sure.
It's gotta suck if you're like a guy who gets in for like one series. You're like,
on the one hand, good job.
Right.
On the other hand, you're done now.
Now I have to go back to the bench for the rest of the game.
I mean, it is nice to see, especially on the defensive line, some guys rotating in where you know that there are at least some bodies there.
And Brian Monet did get maybe a third of the snaps-ish, maybe closer to a quarter, but he got something like 20 snaps. So I think that's going to be important going forward. I don't think Michigan is going to be a base 4-man front in any of their games, but pulling that on like a 3rd and 1, I think that's an asset for Michigan, especially because he can be fresh and just crush somebody backwards off the line.
Absolutely.
So he's a
might see that a little bit this weekend
if they need him, if they can get him 3rd and 1.
That's true.
So, yeah, that's the defense. Chase Winovich is awesome playing.
He's ridiculously good
at an All-American level, which is not the guy we thought we would get at an All-American level. We thought that would be Gary. Gary's fine. He's doing well. He's
getting run away from a lot.
He is getting run away from a lot, and he's also kind of like the guy who gets through the line and is like, "Oh, you guys already sacked him. Come on."
Chase just plays like his hair's on fire, man.
Well, and then there's Bush. Like I feel like everybody else on the defense must be like secretly a little bit annoyed at Devin Bush because it's like, come on,
he's
man.
He's just hawking guys down from 30 yards away.
Come on, like I was right there, and you totally ganked my sack.
Yeah, he's definitely stolen like a couple half sacks from Winovich, even just in the Purdue game.
Yeah, gank is I think the most 7th grade word.
Yeah, I don't think I've used it since legitimately like when I played Foursquare.
Yeah.
And not like the thing you use to check in places because you want people to stalk you, but like the thing with the bouncy rubber ball.
I know. You
just wanted to clarify.
You shouldn't have done that. Those were wasted words. Wasted time.
It's a podcast.
Gank. Man, gank. Feel like I'm opening up a pack of Garbage Pail Kids.
About to just dig into some Lunchables.
Can you tell this is a bi-week podcast, everybody? Can you? All right, we're going to take one more break. We're going to come back. We're going to have a gimmicky top 5 that I might get done before the commercial break's over.
It'll be a race. I got one more to fill out, too.
We have a lot in common. You rode the bus to Bursley, so did Larry Page, and so did I. And we all love MGo Blog. I'm Nick Hopwood, your MGo financial coach. My entire family went to Michigan State, but I was the smart one, finding my way to Ann Arbor to study econ. I've been a financial planner for 17 years, earning the designation Certified Financial Planner, and founded Peak Wealth Management in Plymouth. Oh, you're pretty smart, and you probably have a sweet retirement spreadsheet already. My job is to make sure. As a financial coach, I make sure you're on track, or if you're not on track, I tell you exactly what you're going to need to do. And if you listen, I'll be able to tell you how your future should look, just like the knowledge. And I have cool charts and graphs to tell the story, sort of like the mathlete. To learn more or schedule time to chat, check out peakwm.com/mgoblog.
If you need a place to stay in Ann Arbor and don't want to be stuck out by I-94, there's a new hotel downtown, and the owners, who should be well known to the Michigan community, have asked our help to get the word out. The Martin family, yes, that Martin family, recently opened the Residence Inn Ann Arbor downtown, just a block from Main Street and a short walk to Michigan Stadium. They're competitively priced and offer a free hot breakfast, free Wi-Fi, a fully equipped kitchen in every suite, and an indoor pool. That's the Residence Inn Ann Arbor downtown. It's painless, it's online, it's group ordering made easy for your next custom printed apparel order. Pogo from Underground Printing takes the aggravation out of custom printing for a group. Whether you're selling shirts for a fundraiser, organizing a large event, or trying to collect sizes and payment for a family reunion, Underground Printing is here to help. Save time and hassle every step of the way with our easy-to-use site. No more guessing what to order, chasing people down to pay, or wasting time trying to sort out who needs what. We'll set it up and you can just sit back and relax. We can even take care of individual shipping. To learn more about Pogo, visit us at any of our convenient locations or at pogo.undergroundshirts.com.
If you've got a cold room or you're feeling drafts in your house, you probably want to take care of that before winter. Here's what you've got to do. Call Ecotelligent Homes for a comprehensive home energy audit. They will find the source of your issue, their licensed teams will install the fixes, they will help you qualify for the right local rebates, and even offer 0% financing. Ecotelligent Homes is an award-winning DTE Energy and Consumers Energy trade ally. Call 248-291-7815 or visit their website at ecotelligenthomes.com.
The places you'll go may seem far from Ann Arbor. From San Francisco to St. Louis to Shanghai. But as members of the Alumni Association, we're never far. Because Michigan is more than a place. It's a mindset that connects us. For those who leave Michigan, but for whom Michigan never leaves, this is where you belong. The Alumni Association of the University of Michigan. Join today at umalumni.com.
Welcome back to MGoRadio 3.4. That was not rave music.
No, it's not.
Somehow I'm deeply disappointed that it wasn't
very
rave
music.
So something happened where, Tom wrote an article, Tom Van Haren.
Yeah, he was getting kind of some inside access into Schembechler Hall, and there was a video clip in there with J.T. Rogan and John Falk and Jack Harbaugh, and all of a sudden
they're like pointing at
Sean
something.
Falk and Jack Harbaugh are pointing at MGoBlog on their computer screen,
no.
and all of us in the Slack chat are like, "Oh dear God!"
Yeah. Like, please, please
just
no.
Close that window.
Yeah.
Throw the computer out the window. Set it on fire.
So our gimmicky top 5 is the 5 things we don't want anyone.
Just like the most terrifying things about that whole situation. At least that's how I approached it.
Okay.
So our list might be mildly different.
I was a little bit more specific.
But it'll be, they'll have the same general feel.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Which is terror.
Yes. Mine is like the things I just don't want anyone ever to read.
Yeah,
but especially like Harbaugh's.
Yeah, no, I mean, mine's kind of in just about the site in general.
Ace number 5.
So I think a writer's greatest fear is that anybody reads something that's like more than 2 years old that you've written.
That's definitely.
So if they clicked back in the archives, that would be one of my fears, is that like a Harbaugh or someone on the coaching staff reads something that I wrote that hasn't been recent, because writers hate everything they've written.
So basically everything over 2 years old.
Yes.
Doesn't that like expand over time?
Probably.
Like I can go back to something I wrote 2 years ago, and I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it used to be. For me, it was very much the 1 year rule when I started out, and it has expanded a little bit. Now it's a 2, and there might be a piece or two from before that I don't hate.
Right.
But for the most part, I don't like looking back on that stuff.
No, that is the universal experience.
It's the worst.
My number 5 is the comments.
Yeah,
They.
A similar one.
I guess especially like game threads.
Now you're giving away one of mine.
where like something bad happens and everybody is like, "Oh, my acid is all over my body and I hate everything." And I'm like, I feel like that.
Yeah.
But it looks fairly silly. I don't know. After you've closed out a 28-10 victory over Purdue, everything that was written in the first half of that game by anybody is now insane.
Comes off
including the stuff that I wrote on Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm not exempting myself.
No.
But they weren't pointing at Twitter. They were pointing at you goons in the game thread. And you got a lot of explaining to do. Ace number 4.
They click the board after a loss.
All right. So exact same concept.
It's the exact same thing.
Exact same concept. My number 4 is horseface.
Oh, God.
Because I used to write like any of these like genres where I would just like fisk somebody.
Oh, God.
And
I didn't even think about that.
And I would just like demolish them in their arguments in this like really cool 7th grade way. And I called like Matt Hayes horseface once with an exclamation point, and just like, not the best look if you're trying to be like, hey, I'm a professional person who should be paid attention to. Here's this stuff from when I was way too old to be writing this stuff. I was like 26, and just calling people horseface on the internet because I didn't expect.
Like Jason Whitlock was still fiskable.
Yeah. Did I ever do Whitlock? I don't know if I did Whitlock.
I feel like you did. Or maybe Whitlock was just the first one that you were like, I'm not even bothering with this guy.
Possibly.
He was like one of the early ones on the list if you're just like, it was like Drew Sharp and Whitlock.
Yeah, Sharp, like, Whitlock, now Feinbaum.
Yeah.
Like the do not talk about list.
It's just like, we don't need to touch this because it's trolling.
Horseface! Called a man horseface on the internet.
Sure did.
And that's my job. Nice to meet you, Jim Harbaugh. Ace, your number 3.
Harbaugh reads about taco pants and considers him to be a Michigan institution.
Man.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm really more worried about like the quarterbacks.
Yeah, at points it felt like Spate had done that.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, nobody's been talking about taco pants for a long time, so I'm not just going to miss this guy, but I'm going to overthrow him.
It's like time to bring him back into the conversation, in between the numbers.
Yeah.
Which are located in row 4.
My number 3 is the Jim Harbaugh profile and heroism.
Oh boy!
So after I didn't write one for him because I'm like, everybody knows that we should hire Jim Harbaugh.
Yes.
But afterwards, I went back and wrote about it because that's what you do. And I started off something like, Jim Harbaugh is a high-functioning lunatic from a family of high-functioning lunatics. His dad's a high-functioning lunatic. His brother's a high-functioning lunatic. And that's what makes him perfect to be Michigan's coach at this place at this time.
And it wasn't just in that post. Like, that has been a repeated mantra.
Well, I mean,
blog.
The banner on the site is just...
Yeah, I mean, and that is part of that. That should have made the list in and of itself. You pulled up the homepage and saw the banner.
The homepage, yeah. With Harbaugh with the hat on and the... Like, from the GIF, it's happening GIF.
Man,
just every part of our site is toxic.
It's horrible.
Ace, your number 2.
Actual football coaches reading my old scouting reports of players that they recruited.
Yeah.
That terrifies the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I don't want them
like
has opinions on my football opinions that aren't nearly as good as their football opinions.
Like the first one you did, and you're just like,
oh man. I mean, even the most compared to them, any of them that I did. Good Lord,
Will
burn
Campbell
it all.
will be the greatest football player in the history of football.
Hey, that was before I started writing. That's all you. Will Campbell predates my time at MGO.
Well, you know. I mostly just quote other people's scouting, which gets me off the hook.
That does help.
But some of that scouting is yours.
Sometimes it's me.
They go back to that, and they're like, oh, my God, Ace was just an idiot. What is he doing? I thought this guy was going to be good, but only because Ace said he was going to be good.
Well, now Adam gets the pleasure of reading his old scouting reports, so he'll get to learn just how fun that is down the road.
My number 2 is pretty similar, but it's kind of a different tack. So I'm always like, oh, Michigan should do this. Like, I don't like what they're doing. I think they should do some other thing. And I would just loathe it if someone like saw it on the site and they're like, you know what, that blogger is right. And then they tried it and then it didn't work.
Yeah.
Like that.
Where it's just like all of a sudden you've become personally responsible for failing of the football program.
Like I'm like, oh, this is how they should approach this game, and that's exactly what they do, and they like lose by 12 points. And I'm just like, oh God, maybe I should just never have an opinion about anything again. But
it's a kitten blog now.
Yeah, it's a blog about kittens, which aren't in this delicious hummus from Lantana.
We're getting that promo out of the way early.
Does that count? Is that enough, Seth? The edamame hummus. Okay, yeah, the edamame hummus, which I'm actually eating at home right now. It's delicious. It's made with edamame. Ooh, yeah.
Hey.
And white beans and topped with roasted red pepper and toasted sesame seeds. It is delicious and savory.
All right. An ad read in the middle of a gimmicky top 5 is definitely first.
This is. Hey man, you started talking about kittens, and I was like, I know what my segue is.
Yeah, there was an obvious move there.
There's still someone at this company who's like panicking.
It's working. We have posted the testimonials.
We get like tweets like every week being like, I only eat stuff because of you guys, and it's also delicious. So thank you for turning me on to that. Yeah. So keep sponsoring us, because it's definitely not a terrible thing to do.
It's not the worst idea in the
Ace, you're number 1.
There are 2 podcasts that come to mind that I would just die if they heard. One is the post-Alabama 2012 Pitbull podcast.
Okay,
and the other is the old Shared Nips podcast.
Yes.
The old Shared Nips podcast, obviously, for personal reasons, is my number 1 with a bullet.
Pitbull? Was it Pitbull?
It was Pitbull going to Alaska was like the topic of discussion for pretty much all of the post-Alabama.
We just talked about Pitbull going to Alaska.
Yes.
That sounds familiar, but I think I'd blocked that out. I was definitely either hungover or still drunk during that podcast.
Yeah, see, I was stone cold sober and not hungover in the middle of the hotel.
Right, yeah, because you called in.
Yeah,
because
I made the terrible decision to go to Dallas.
I was like, don't do that. And you're like,
you were like, I'm not covering this. You can pay that yourself. I was like, yeah, no, I deserve that.
I'm like, this is terrible. This is not
I
good.
realize this is a bad idea. I'm doing it anyway. I have some
watching
regrets.
Brady Hoke play Alabama.
Man, it was before we really knew the full Hokeness extent of Brady Hoke.
It's true.
It was still a bad decision.
All right, my number 1 thing that I would never want a Harbaugh to read on MGO blog is Wilton Spate is out for the Ohio State game.
Oh man. Well, that was the thing that was going to get in the gimmicky top 5 last week. It did not make it because we thought it was harsh. So
no, it's pretty much the worst thing that's ever happened. To anyone.
Yeah.
And I include like wars, genocide. No, that's
taking it there.
That's too far.
Genocide is apparently where we draw the line.
Well, it's we should deserve some credit for that.
Yeah.
Some people don't.
Yeah, we are showing
the
little
ancient
bit of restraint.
Greeks probably didn't draw a line there.
Yeah, the Spartans were kind of jerks.
Well, more about that in another section.
Yeah, a little bit later.
All right, so I hope you're happy, Tom Van Haren, that you have made us terrified of everything that is going on.
This was Tom's great revenge.
Revenge?
Yeah.
What does he need revenge for?
For putting him on. I don't know.
He went.
Tom, I thought we helped you out, man.
Well, it's not his fault. It's I don't know whose fault is it. It's probably my fault. I'm the one who started.
Why'd you make a blog so popular that it ended up inside Schembeckler Hall, getting read by Harbaugh's?
What a jerk! I'm such a jerk. Maryland 63,017. All right, we're gonna take one more break. Come back, talk to Marlin Jackson.
Yeah.
How about that?
If you need a place to stay in Ann Arbor and don't want to be stuck out by I-94, there's a new hotel downtown, and the owners, who should be well known to the Michigan community, have asked our help to get the word out. The Martin family, yes, that Martin family, recently opened the Residence Inn Ann Arbor downtown, just a block from Main Street and a short walk to Michigan Stadium. They're competitively priced and offer a free hot breakfast, free Wi-Fi, a fully equipped kitchen in every suite, and an indoor pool. That's the Residence Inn Ann Arbor downtown.
If you're looking for a mortgage and you're a Michigan fan, there's only one place to go. HomeSure Lending. Both fair and honest, HomeSure Lending is local, efficient, and small enough so you'll work directly with the owner, Matt Demarest. Matt bleeds maize and blue, and so does his family.
Hey, this is Matt Demarest. I'm the owner of HomeSure Lending. We're a small, local, family-owned business, and so I'm here with a couple of members of my family, Cooper and Colby, my boys. Cooper, how old are you, buddy?
9.
Colby, what about you?
7.5.
Who's the best team in the whole country?
Michigan!
Can I get a Go Blue?
Go Blue!
We're a family business here in Ann Arbor. I'd love to serve you and your family with any of your mortgage needs.
Located at 2723 South State Street in Ann Arbor. For more info, go to HomeSureLending.com. That's HomeSureLending. You can reach Matt at 734-531-9950. HomeSure Lending, NMLS 1161358, Equal Housing Lender.
Let me just tell you a couple things to keep in your mind while you're out there. When we take the field, we're going to win. We've got big goals. We've got big ideas. We've got to win this game, and there is no game on the remainder of our schedule more important than the one you're going down to the tunnel to play today. Now let's go. Let's go.
Underground Printing is proud to present the Bow Store. Visit us at our new location at 333 South Main or online at www.bow.team.
If you find yourself on the wrong side of the law in Ann Arbor or around Metro Detroit, you want a Michigan man in the huddle. Call former prosecutor and now criminal defense attorney Jonathan Paul at 248-924-9458 or visit his website, michiganlawgrad.com.
The places you'll go may seem far from Ann Arbor. From San Francisco to St. Louis to Shanghai. But as members of the Alumni Association, we're never far. Because Michigan is more than a place. It's a mindset that connects us. For those who leave Michigan, but for whom Michigan never leaves, this is where you belong. The Alumni Association of the University of Michigan. Join today at umalumni.com.
In a word, I'm going down. In a word, I'm going.
Well, welcome back to MGoRadio 3.4. You're supposed to turn the music down now, Morris. Thank you.
I was kind of mid-level ravey.
Yeah, it was maybe like chill after
It sounded
party.
like it could get into that if they added a couple more layers to it.
No, it's like you're at the rave after party. Does that happen? They go to like 6 in the morning. They can't have after parties.
Yeah, or maybe they can. Just, all weekend thing. Who needs sleep? They've got drugs.
They.
That was accusatory, sir.
All right, we're going to welcome in Marlin Jackson now if we can get this technology hooked up right. Morris was not very... You just turn the music back up. This was... Morris, in the commercial break, was just kind of like, well, hopefully this will work. And I was like...
Yeah, we hope so, too.
I was... All right. I would be lying if I said I didn't expect this exact thing to happen.
Oh, I was fully prepared for that.
I was, yeah. The music's still going.
Yeah, the music is still going.
All right, well,
we just got a little bit of a backing track.
Yeah, we were feeling funky. Are we gonna get this? That's the music. Is the music coming from the phone? Well, could you stop it on the phone? This is my suggestion. All right. We're going to talk about Michigan State, and then maybe we can get Marlin later. How about that? All right. Unplug the freaking phone.
I can't hear this music anymore.
Okay. I feel like I've actually been at a rave now.
Yeah, there it is. That wasn't very ravey, but...
Well, fine, but you're on drugs.
I don't like this turned at all.
Is that better or worse than you're the Brady-Oka of podcasting? Better.
Still better.
Yeah.
Definitely an improvement.
All right, so Michigan State is the next opponent on the schedule.
Indeed.
Michigan has had a bye week. Michigan is coming off their Purdue game. Okay, now you guys are playing.
Yeah, now we're getting the outro music.
Just turn all of the music off.
Yeah, every music thing needs to be off now.
I'm going to throw a shoe. All right, Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Talk about them. I'm sorry to do that to you.
Yeah, you put me on a spot there.
Talk about their secondary.
Well, it seems less disastrous than last year's just because they haven't been destroyed yet repeatedly.
Yeah.
But they seem to allow a lot of open receivers over the top that nobody can seem to hit.
It was very frustrating. I was watching the first half of the Bowling Green game.
And there were some guys wide open in that game.
They had like 3 wide open shots over the top, and they actually hit one, and then the guy just dropped it. And I was like,
and then the Western Michigan game, Western does not have a functional quarterback, as best I can tell. So they had some guys running for you that weren't getting hit.
No, they're like 114th in yards per pass.
No, I mean their quarterback was abject. It was bad. And then Notre Dame, their first touchdown gets set up by Equanimous St. Brown is blowing right by Matt Morrissey, even though Morrissey's giving them cushion, is in his zone, and just doesn't turn and gets roasted over the top. Iowa had a chance at a deep shot that Nate Stanley missed. That would have been a long touchdown. It just seems like they are
perpetually open.
Yeah, and you know, their fancy stats look good. Their normal stats look good right now. But you look at even like their lineups right now. They made 2 different changes in the starting lineup for the Iowa game, changing corners and a corner and a starting safety.
Right. Because Morrissey went to the bench, but
they benched Morrissey for David Dowell. He did play some, and then they pretty much got 3 corners on relatively level footing. So Justin Lane rotated in for this last one, but Josiah Scott is also
so I
getting
converted
a lot of time.
wide receiver, a true freshman Houdat, and the third guy is
the dude who had a stroke last year.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's their secondary. Their corners have actually been decent, not great.
It's hard to
not
tell.
mostly bad so far because I mean most of the stuff is going over the middle.
Well, because so you look at their advanced numbers and they're like 37th in success rate, and 43rd, and like, so they have a good defense, but it's not like a distorting defense. So Michigan, when you play Michigan, your offense dies.
Yes.
And that 4 games into the season is still reflected in your stats really heavily.
Yeah.
Michigan State doesn't have a defense that good.
No.
So most of the stats that you can look at for their opponents are pretty much legit. And Notre Dame's terrible. Bowling Green's terrible. Western is terrible.
Yeah.
Iowa was decent. And then, Nate Stanley kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
Tommy Rees'd it.
And then even when you dive into the stats a little bit and start taking a closer look, like their defense, 4th in success rate on standard downs, 103rd on passing downs.
Iowa.
No, Michigan State's defense.
Okay.
So, I mean, when opponents get into passing situations, they move the ball.
Right.
Which
is why on the WTA
even
roundtable,
though State is pretty darn good on early downs right now.
Yeah, on the WTA roundtable, it's just like don't run the ball.
Yeah,
no, not once.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's going to happen.
No, that's not how Jim Harbaugh approaches football.
But I would expect Michigan to pass early to try to set up the run.
Yeah,
because one thing that really jumped out at me when I was watching the Notre Dame game versus the Iowa game is that State played that kind of soft.
Yeah, they were showing a lot more like one high looks, a lot more looks with the corners playing soft on the edge. I would assume some of that had to do with facing a mobile quarterback. Brandon Wimbush is fast, but they'll have to. So they were playing with more guys actually looking into the backfield and being able to account for that. But
right.
But that was also the game that their defense got torn up the most.
Yeah.
And we might see something similar on Saturday, depending on how much they respect John O'Corn's threat as a mobile quarterback.
I mean, they did have to. They had like a 30-yard quarterback sneak where it was 5-on-5 in the box.
Yeah.
Because they spread it out, and that's what I want to see. Is I want to see Michigan spread out Michigan State as much as possible. Put those linebackers kind of on an island against McCune, against Zach Gentry, and just make them follow them up the seam or make plays or. Excuse me. Go ahead, you talk now.
Yeah, we definitely want to see them get attacked over the middle a little bit. Definitely want to see them get attacked in the passing game. Also, because they still play very, very aggressively against the run. A lot of their success has been because their linebackers are taking a step forward at the snap. Their safeties are taking a step forward at the snap. You know, this is Michigan State kind of getting back to the all-out aggressiveness that they had with Narduzzi a little bit.
Yeah, the Iowa game was pure Narduzzi.
And it worked against Iowa because Iowa just refuses to throw a changeup. They're just going to be Iowa forever.
And they have no athletes at receiver.
Yeah, so Iowa did not succeed in just like running Akram Wadley into a wall many times.
That is just disgusting. The way that they're using Akram Wadley, disgusting.
The way they were coached on both sides of the ball in that game disgusted me. I hated watching that game. Twice. I don't know why I chose to put myself through that a second time, but I guess it's my job. But they've got some interesting players. I just don't know, other than their defensive tackles, who I think are both quite good.
Who are the players on that defense?
You mentioned, Joe Bocci had a big game against Iowa, but Iowa was not getting anybody out to block him. And that's their middle linebacker, and he was just flowing free to the ball.
And he sees any kind of zone action, and he's just like, all right, I have no compunction about what I'm doing. I'm just
there's no play action threat that's holding him up there. He's just going all out for it. So he's pretty good, but I don't know. He's a true sophomore middle linebacker.
Not that highly ranked.
Yeah, who's like a 3-star coming out of high school.
Is it the system? Is it just? How good is he actually, and how much of it is just like he gets to play Viking?
In that Iowa game, it was definitely at least part just the way that game was set up scheme wise. Chris Fry is a jerk. He's a big jerk.
A jerk.
he legitimately tried to murder somebody by spearing them with his helmet.
Himself.
Yeah, he could have broken his own neck, but he he kind of just plays like that in general too. He's super aggressive, and sometimes that works out well, and sometimes that leads to big gains the other way.
Yeah.
I hate the way he plays. I think I mentioned that in the post.
Yeah, you did. You're pretty.
I don't like the way. Because he's a walking targeting call, first of all.
Yeah.
And in a way where it seems borderline intentional, especially when you're doing a thing where you put your hands behind your back so you can lead with your head.
Yeah. Which is funny because Bush targeted the hell out of him last year.
He did. He did. And in retrospect,
that guy up like a Christmas tree.
Don't hate it too much.
I
prefer Devin Bush not do that.
We're already wishy-washy on genocide. Let's not be wishy-washy on targeting.
Anyway, and then I do like their space back a little bit. Andrew Dowell covers a decent amount of the field, but they're weak at defensive end. That's definitely going to be, along with safety, kind of the soft spot on their defense that Michigan is hopefully going to look to exploit. They're starting.
Depending 1.5 walk-ons.
Yeah, 1.5 walk-ons. One of them's splitting time with Demetrius Cooper, who was pretty underwhelming when he was supposed to be good last year.
2.5 sacks as a starter last year. As their glamour end.
But Raekwon Williams and Mike Panashuk, the two DTs, are legit. Those guys were. Iowa was getting very predictable by running a lot of zone stretch. They were also absolutely obliterating zone stretches by just pushing guys 2 yards in the backfield and disengaging.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They're mobile. They hold up strength-wise. Panashuk's got some insane weightlifting numbers, and Williams is 300 pounds. So those guys, that's advantage Michigan State on the interior.
Okay.
And then it's going to be about whether Michigan tries to edge them a little bit or whether they're more looking to pass to set up the run.
Yeah, because I feel like, even token play action is going to get some guys open.
Absolutely.
And Michigan State used to solve that by okay, we're going to have the safety come up on the tight end or whoever. And then the Big 12 happened to them.
Yes.
And I would like the Big 12 to happen to Michigan's offense. Just put Donald Peoples-Jones in the slot and tell him to go get it.
Yeah, and especially since Michigan State is not going, even probably against Michigan's O-line. I might regret this Saturday, but even against Michigan's own line, they're probably not going to be able to generate much pressure with a 4-man rush. They have not been able to do so. Once again, the 1.5 walk-on DEs starting is a problem for them in that regard.
Yeah, like Cooper has 1 sack, and then I think Williams has 1 sack, and the rest of their sacks are from linebackers and defensive backs.
Yeah, no, they're not getting much at all up front. They tend to go into some sort of Okie look on 3rd down, obvious passing situations, so that they can try to get pressure by confusion.
Yeah.
But unless they're sending more than you've got to block, they're having a tough time hitting home.
And their sack rate on passing downs is very good. Their sack rate on standard downs is very bad.
Yeah.
So it's clear that 1st down, 2nd down, you should be throwing the ball a majority of the time.
Yeah,
maybe not 100%.
If you can get them out of being able to just pin their ears back on 3rd down, that defense is quite exploitable.
Right. Yeah, and there's going to be guys floating open. Their cornerbacks are probably not very good. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell earlier this year because they're having a modicum of success, but just the picture of who they're putting out there, like a true freshman, a converted wide receiver, and a guy who had a stroke, it's just not. Doesn't seem like the best situation.
Yeah, and those guys have. I mean, they're not posting like huge pass breakup numbers. It's not like they're being targeted and getting super active with it. It just seems like I know Pro Football Focus has posted that like Justin Lane is crushing it and passer rating against when he's targeted or whatever, but a lot of those are just like, that throws out of bounds, dude. Like that, there's been a lot of that this year. So I mean, they could be all right. We really don't know. Yeah. But when you're going by their athletic and recruiting profiles, it's not great back there for them, and especially when you pair it with their safety situation, where the only safety who's stuck in the starting lineup the whole way through has been Kari Willis, who was awful last year, and as far as I can tell, has not improved that much.
All right. So the other side of the ball should be a happier discussion.
Yeah.
Michigan State has done close to nothing against the Power 5 defense that they've gone up against that wasn't either exploiting Michael Ojemudia, who's like a 2-star linebacker who got drafted in to play a cornerback against Michigan State.
Yeah, was stuck on 6'4" Felton Davis the whole game.
Or getting a 52-yard quarterback sneak.
I'm still not sure what happened there.
Or
in the
just
Notre Dame name.
Making it look good. Like they had like something like 240 yards offense after Notre Dame went up 35-10 in that game.
Football Outsider, Brian Freemo broke it down, and it was like literally half their offense in that game came in garbage time.
So the
defeated with dignity thing very much still is a thing for them.
Yeah. So they're probably not real good. You see the collapse of everyone's yards per carry except for Lewerke.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at it. They've got Brian Allen at center, and that's probably the only guy on that offensive line that I would say is above average, just looking at them as a unit.
Yeah.
They're working with redshirt freshman right tackle, a left tackle who is 6'8", 284 pounds, and has had to really work his way up just to get listed at 284. That is Cole Chewins. And then Tyler Higbee is just a guy at left guard, and right guard has been rotating between David Beadle, who was a real sore spot for them last year. I think it was something like -15 on Pro Football Focus heading into the Michigan game. That's true, but he played both. He was kind of their utility guy last year. But he did not impress me very much against Notre Dame, and then he was out with an undisclosed injury last week. He is questionable this week, and in his place was a true freshman who did not play well against Iowa.
Right. So this is a defensive line that should just get shot to pieces.
Yeah, I mean
an offensive line.
Iowa, which is good up front, but not nearly as dominant as Michigan, was absolutely crushing MSU at the point of attack last week. I mean, we have the screen caps in both my film post and the preview of Michigan State taking 3 cracks at a run to gain 1 yard and not gaining that 1 yard on any of them.
Not even getting close.
Not even getting close.
And that's with like L.J. Scott, who, I mean, if anyone remembers, his first year was just able to turn 0 yards into 2, and now he's turning -2 yards into 0.
Yeah. I mean, you watch Scott play now, and it's not like he looks atrocious. It's just that it looks like he has nowhere to go. And then occasionally he inexplicably drops the ball while running into the end zone, which is a problem. He's done that now twice this year. And the fumble touchback against Notre Dame really swung that game. That took that from, it was going to be 21-14 Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame gets that touchback, goes down the field, and goes up 28-7. that was your ball game right there. But
yeah, so he's an enigma now. Another guy who may not have been served well by the lax discipline in D'Antonia's program.
Sure, and it seems at this point, I mean, we saw last year he did not seem to give a crap about blitz pickups.
No,
he was horribly graded in those. He seems openly frustrated at times now. They kept cutting to him during the Notre Dame game after the fumble, and he looked just kind of despondent. He was just standing on the sidelines, kind of shaking his head.
Yeah.
But we'll see, like, you know, State's offensive line didn't seem like they could block anybody last year, and then they go into the Michigan game and rip off that first drive with L.J. Scott, where you could see that happening still, but they really have not set it up to go well. I mean, and it's not like it's just L.J. Scott. Gerald Holmes and Madre London are not finding any room to run either.
Oh, do we have Marlin Jackson now? We do. Okay, can we talk to him, or is this just a cruel tease again?
Give him a try.
Marlin, how you doing?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Oh, awesome.
Much better now.
It's been a process. So how you doing, man?
I'm great, man. I'm great. How are you guys doing over there?
Good.
Get everything.
How's Fight for Life going for you?
Fight for Life is going great. You know, just going through the process of growth and scaling and formalizing as a organization, and kind of, you know, preparing to, you know, fill capacity with the staff, and just continuing to kind of, you know, iron out programming and continue to serve kids first and foremost, but, you know, going in the right direction, continue to do this.
I mean, for anyone who hasn't heard of your charity, can you just explain exactly what you do?
Yeah. So put it as simple as possible. You know, we serve deserving underserved youth, children primarily growing up in single-parent households, maybe lacking the parental guidance needed to find themselves. What we do is provide social emotional learning curriculum, and we serve these kids by partnering with systems to implement our college development curriculum in the classroom, teaching virtues, values, emotional traits by utilizing skills, reading, writing, speaking, and listening in the classroom.
All right, how are you feeling about the team this year?
I feel good. I mean, you know, I don't think it's been maybe ideal. You know, as far as everything that we've had in our minds and what we want it to look like. So defense has been great. While maybe offense has been inconsistent. You know, especially at the quarterback position. But you know, outside of that, I think we still find ourselves in a good place. So you rather not be hitting on, you know, all cylinders right now. You like to, you know, have some room to get back, not be at that, and we're still able to get wins. So as long as we can continue to move in the right direction, I think we'll be fine. Where
would you play in Don Brown's defense? Are you a corner? Are you a safety? Are you a viper?
I'd be that viper. Yeah, I see myself as far as, you know, when I really was you know, and later in my career, settling into a new spot, it's going to be more kind of a high player, that viper that's kind of corner, safety, nickelback, all kind of bundled into one.
I knew you were going to pick that because that's like the glory spot. It's like the tackles for loss. And
that's what it actually is. I mean, if you're an instinctive and physical player, and, you know, you can diagnose and analyze plays quickly. You can make plays in that position.
When you watch football plays, I mean, is it different since you're an ex-player? Do you see things that you think that other people don't see right away, or is it just kind of too fast to?
No, I mean, I look at it as probably a broader scope than the average fan, maybe. Just from playing, you know, you watch film, you analyze coverages and offenses, so you look at the entire picture and watch it all unfold as once, instead of kind of watching a singular position.
So like the shape of the defense more than like where the ball is.
Yeah, and watching everything around it. You know, watching the corners and how they're working with the linebackers and the line. Are they getting any penetration? And then, you know, just seeing the full picture of the offense and the defense.
Do you have you come back and like talk to these guys at all, or is it? I mean, have you like given like the Tom Brady emotional pregame speech to these guys at the Harbaugh?
No, I haven't gotten that call. No, I haven't gotten that call, but I'll be down with that.
Well, we'll post it on the site, and Jack Harbaugh might see it.
Oh no!
Much to our chagrin.
No, I haven't. I'm talking with you guys and going on with Jamie Morris. That's the end of my speaking.
So we have an event tomorrow from 2 to 5 that you're going to be at the second half at. He's flying in on Zach Eisendress plane, so it takes off at a certain time. We are at Holmes, the brewery, and it's from 2 to 4, 2 to 5 on Jackson Avenue. We'll have a bunch of stuff, and you guys can get a little bit involved with Fight for Life, and it's a great charity, and I hope everybody listening chips in.
No, I always appreciate you guys and your support. Putting on these events and supporting the nation. You guys don't have to do it, but I'm happy and thankful that you guys choose to do so.
All right, awesome. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yep. Bye. All right, back to Michigan State.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Michigan defense. So their passing game has a real kind of dichotomy to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much we're game planning around our offensive line passing attack. There's a lot of short stuff. It was interesting to see watching both the Notre Dame and Iowa games because those two teams have very different approaches defensively, and it really affected the way Michigan State went about their offensive game plan because Notre Dame was much more aggressive than Iowa. I mean, Iowa we know is a boring cover 2 team. So against Iowa, Michigan State was kind of able to more work from rolling pockets. They'd give Lewerke kind of half-field reads, and because he had just a free rollout, so they'd kind of take the offensive line out of the equation, get some short stuff. They're pretty run-pass option heavy on first down.
Yeah.
That held up through both Notre Dame and Iowa. Is they especially like the kind of inside zone read with the slant on the backside as one of their main first down plays. But against Notre Dame, unlike Iowa, they weren't really able to roll the pocket at all because Notre Dame actually sends blitzers on occasion, which so that's probably a game that is more representative for what Michigan State's going to look like against Michigan. And in that, they were doing a lot of dink and dunk, calling a fair number of screens, which I'm sure we'll see given both what Michigan's put on tape and what Michigan State's put on tape so far this year.
Yep.
But they didn't. I mean, against Iowa, their plan just sort of ended up being pick on Ojemudia, especially since Felton Davis is 6'4".
Who was announcing that game? Because they had 17 different pronunciations.
Oh, Brady Quinn really had trouble with it. He was going letter by letter, and
none of them were correct.
Not going well. I know we Michigan fans have an advantage there since we had Mario here, but it was still not.
If
great.
I can say it,
yeah, Brian's got it down. So Brady Quinn, no excuses. Yeah, I mean, their offense really just comes down to how much Brian Lewerke can create and whether he can avoid big mistakes. And because about 60% of the time he looks awesome. He's especially comfortable throwing the ball over the middle. He was putting slants on guys in both the Notre Dame and Iowa games. And then he'll make some inexplicably bad decisions. Against Notre Dame, he was way late on a throw to the perimeter that got taken back for a pick 6.
The fumble was also what are you
doing?
And
the fumble, he first of all, he scrambles out of a clean pocket.
He's trying to dunk on the guy or something.
And he's going left. He's rolling out left, and then he tries to, it was like an and one move where he takes the ball as he's rolling left, the ball's on his left side, tries to bring it over top of his head and cross the guy over. But the ball just gets knocked out because this isn't basketball, dude. You can't do that. So he'll make some questionable choices, but he's a dangerous run threat. He really is. I mean, he made a guy miss pretty bad on the edge in the Iowa game.
I mean, but so did John O'Corn against Purdue. I think those guys are about the same level.
Yeah, I think Lewerke might be a little bit faster.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, this isn't Denard. This isn't somebody that you're going to cower in fear every time he takes off. But he's been efficient. He tends to get upfield.
Well, so they're averaging about 8 carries a game for him.
Yeah.
And a couple of those are scrambles, so if it's 3rd and 4, you're going to get speed option a lot from them. I mean, Michigan might be better at it than they have been in the past because they played Air Force. So.
Yeah, I mean they'll do the speed option on 3rd down, like you said. They'll do some zone read, and they showed some inverted veer actually, which works with Lewerke nicely because he gets upfield. It's weird to see that run by not Denard.
If I'm an offensive coordinator and I'm going up against Devin Bush, I'm not going to be like.
They might. That's the thing is I think the way they approach both the Iowa and Notre Dame games, I don't think is going to work against Michigan, especially the Iowa game. You can't roll a pocket against Don Brown. You're just going to get smashed in the face if you try to do a bunch of rollout throws.
Well, and first and second down are going to be very important for them because their sack rate allowed like triples on passing downs.
Yeah, I mean a lot of those early passes are screens or RPOs and stuff that just like you'd have to get an incredible play by a defensive lineman for it to even threaten a sack.
Yeah.
So that split makes a lot of sense because when he actually has to take a drop, when that line has to actually form a pocket, it doesn't go great.
I mean the similarities here between Michigan State and Purdue are actually
pretty stark. Yeah,
I mean, they're a shotgun team now.
Yeah.
They run a lot of RPO stuff. They run a lot of misdirection, and their offensive line is just something that they have to game plan around.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing that makes me pretty optimistic about this game is that, I mean, we're going to get the usual Michigan State breaks out a bunch of stuff that they haven't broken out ever because they game plan all year for this. But they just don't have the creativity in play calling that Purdue does. I mean Jeff Brom is an excellent coordinator.
I mean,
I know Don Brown nerfed them, but man, it was striking how predictable they were, both in terms of down and distance breakdowns, run versus pass.
I know, but they're saving all that stuff.
And yeah, but it's like you're saving like good football for the one game. That's
what they do.
But that is what they do.
They were 2-5 last
year.
They
will probably break tendency and actually throw on early downs and run on some passing downs. But it's really heavy run pass. It's really heavy like shotgun is a passing look or an RPO, and I-form is a run. And Ace is some sort of jet motion, probably resulting in a run. Like it's very. They tip a lot by formation and by down and distance.
I know
they probably won't. They won't against Michigan.
Throw that stuff out the window, though.
I know, but I think like when it comes down to it, like if you're only doing that one game a year versus 12, like eventually you're going to run out of tricks in your bag.
I mean, I think that you do run out of tricks when you just can't block.
Yes,
right? Like there's
and that is like the way they are approaching. They know that they can't block.
Yeah.
So whatever they bring out for this game, I mean, we probably will see some unusual thing that works for a drive or two, because that's just how these games go. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not a football coach, but I don't know what you can come up with to work around this offensive line against this defense.
I mean, it's going to be screens. It's going to be weird stuff. Like they had like a wide receiver sweep that they hadn't played at all in last year's game, and that really worked out.
Yeah,
so you're going to see.
They tried a tight end around that did not work well because Matt Sokol just dropped the ball.
I mean,
tight ends not very used to taking handoffs, as it turns out.
No. I bet we're going to see like shovel passes. We're going to get a lot of shovel passes.
We're going to see a fullback wheel route in there somewhere.
Nah, because they did that 2 years ago.
They have that on tape.
Yeah. But there's going to be like some stuff where they're just like, and it's going to be like, can Devin Bush sack that guy before something comes off?
Yeah, I mean,
chances are decent.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the flea flicker 2 weeks ago. It's hard to get trick plays off against Michigan. Those take time to develop. So State's going to have to find a way to do a bunch of quick hitting plays and somehow keep moving the ball consistently against Michigan's defense. And I don't know, that combination sounds like it's going to die.
Yeah, it does. Yes, sir.
Especially since, I mean, I think Felton Davis is a pretty good receiver, but he's not a super explosive athlete from what I can tell.
I mean, if he's going to get a lot of catches, it's going to have to be like Burbridge versus Jordan
Lewis. They're going to do just a lot of punting the ball up to him.
And like, I don't think Lewerke is that accurate. Like,
No, not unlike those down, like the type of passes that Connor Cook was making a couple years ago. I don't think Lewerke is that type of quarterback. His accuracy definitely goes down when he goes further downfield.
And like, if you can get him moving around, like make him reset in the pocket, then he starts throwing it wherever.
Yeah, and he'll like, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how much trickery Michigan State wants to pull out, because one of Lewerke's bugaboos is that he tries to make the play even when it's not there. That's what happened on the and one fumble, and then there was he nearly threw a pick against Iowa because they ran a flea flicker where it was like the Purdue flea flicker where they had a guy flying right up to the quarterback as he was throwing it, and instead of just eating it or throwing the ball away, Lewerke tries to throw like a 40-yard bomb off his back foot while falling away, and it comes up about 15 yards short. It was actually so short that it was too short for the defensive backs to peel back on.
I wish I didn't know what that was like.
Yeah. So, He's like, I expect him to turn the ball over once or twice in this game, just because he's going to try to make something happen that's not there.
Okay.
And then is Michigan State capable of putting together enough positive possessions to overcome that? Probably not, unless Michigan's setting them up with a bunch of short fields.
Well, I mean, and unless Michigan State does pop it on one of these plays we're expecting, like they don't have any explosion in their offense. They're like 120th or something.
No, I mean they're really down in that. They are 101st in the explosiveness metric. But more than that, like Scott's the only running back who's even hit 4 highlight yards per opportunity, which is low. And they have two other backs who don't even crack 2.5, which is like, even their big runs are like, yeah, you got 7.
Yeah.
Good job, buddy.
Man, that's harsh.
And then, and their receivers, the only guy cracking 10 yards at target is Hunter Rison, who's been targeted 7 times on underneath stuff, catch and run stuff.
Right. So I mean, that's partially a lack of athleticism. It's partially they don't trust their offensive line.
Yeah.
But like, unless they get like a big catch and run, or they pop something open, they're going to have to put together like a 12-play drive.
Yeah, and the guys who were expected to like emerge as game breakers as receivers for this team are either not on the team anymore.
I was about to say.
Or they're freshmen who don't look like they have, like Cody White and Hunter Rison look like talented players, but they're freshmen who aren't trusted yet. So they'll get a few snaps in there and they might flash a little bit, but their starting receivers are a bunch of guys. It seems
bunch of guys. They're tall guys.
Yeah, no, they do have some size, but I just they're not terrifying.
And it's not like a huge insult for me to say this, but I'm kind of, the thing I'm most afraid of is their punter.
I mean, especially in what could be a field position game.
Yeah,
he made a big difference in the Iowa game.
He was great. Like he set them up with like terrible field position like 2 or 3 times, and just. Iowa was constantly just trying to get out of the shadow of their own goal line, and that was a huge difference in that game.
Yeah, Hartbarger's pinned 10 of his 20 punts this year inside the 20.
And he's had 2 returns.
Yeah.
On 20 punts.
That's pretty good.
And he's averaging like 43 yards.
He also has 4 touchbacks, which makes me start to think that Michigan State's punting a lot on short fields, but
Yep.
But that's them.
Well, if you can't convert a 3rd and 1 to save your life, then maybe that makes more sense.
Yeah, going for it on 4th and 1 in that situation seems right game theory wise, and did not seem right in any other context.
I mean, Michigan put up like they brought in a new punter, and it went fine, but we don't really know if he's going to continue that in week 2.
Yeah,
we don't know exactly what Michigan's got there. Michigan State doesn't know what they have as a kicker. They've got a freshman who's 2 or 3 on the season, so Michigan's Quinn Nordin has established himself.
He sure has.
As the wild thing. Do we have a score prediction from you, sir?
I'd go somewhere in the neighborhood of like 28-10.
That's about where I'm at. I mean, weather is going to be kind of a deal,
yeah.
So hopefully that doesn't screw us. We would like to thank our sponsors one more time: Underground Printing, The Bow Store, The Residence Inn, Ann Arbor Downtown, Peak Wealth Management, Homeshare Lending, Human Element, Lantana Hummus, Michigan Law Grad, Deo Bookkeeping, and Ann Arbor Elder Law. And what's the new one? Eco-Telligent Homes. Is that a word?
Who's got it better than us?